Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you for tuning into today's SMIB training. So as always, we are full of excitement and of anticipation to share with you the latest knowledge in the area of health and science. So as you know, for the past 3 months, for the past month, in the following 2 months, we'll be exploring a very interesting topic, which is hormones. Okay, this is something that people always talk about, but we don't really understand the mechanisms on how it really influences all our bodily systems. So for those of you who have attended last week, you were enlightened about how sex hormones can impact all of us individually. Okay, we spoke about in detail for women and also for men, and how menopause or andropause is a reality for the male counterpart as well. Okay, so let me share my screen first as I go into it. Okay, so today we will be exploring on how hormones can influence our metabolism. So this will be our focus for the next 2 months, and we will talk about how different hormones also play a part into influencing our metabolism. All right, so stay tuned and be sure to follow on. All right. So you'll be wondering, how does hormone has to do with metabolism? And is hormones really that big of a deal or not? And what type of hormone actually play a role with metabolism? All right. So we will split this into 4 sessions, and 2 sessions for November and 2 sessions for December. So for the very first session, which is today, we are going to be talking about thyroid hormone. We have heard about people talking about thyroid all the time. Oh, is it thyroid problem? But we don't really know what on earth is thyroid. Okay, what is the function and how does it has to relate with metabolic health at all? Right? So we'll be talking about this today. In the second session, we'll talk about sex hormones. So last month, we have talked about how sex hormone influences a person's general health. So now it's specifically into metabolism. If you have too high estrogen, what will happen? If too low, what will happen? Testosterone also. So what is the relationship? That will be the next 2 weeks after this. So for December, we'll be touching human growth hormone. All right, human growth hormone also is something that we hear a lot, and it's very interesting, right? So how does this fit into the entire area of metabolism? We will find out. Last but not least, we will have to talk about the control center. There's a core center that actually influences and controls all these hormones. So surprise, surprise, gut actually has a lot to do with all these hormones. So we're talking about this at the very last session in December. So it's going to be a very exciting 2 months, and I hope you don't miss out because it will be very valuable information for you and your loved ones as well. Right, so let's start. So a short disclaimer before we continue on. All right, so what is thyroid gland and where is it? So a thyroid gland is basically this butterfly-shaped organ that is placed in front of our throat, or thoracic gland. So the main function is to produce thyroid hormones, right? So what is that actually? What does it really do to us? Apart from just giving us goiter, right, if it's having a dysfunction. So in reality, it has a lot to do. In fact, it is one of the most central hormones when it comes to our metabolism, that it affects every aspect and every step of our metabolism. So of course, before we even talk about it, we need to have a clear definition or clear understanding what is really metabolism. Is it fat burning? So in the most simplest definition, is basically a conversion of food that you take. There's a combination of different food that you take, and once it is in your body, how is it being converted to produce energy? And basically, how does this energy then sustain all bodily functions that the energy will then circulate in your body? So what are all these basic functions? These are actually what we call the basal metabolic rate. And if those who have come to our office and have done your own health check, if you have done the Tanita scan, you have definitely seen this term before, right? So what is basal metabolic rate? So basal metabolic rate is basically the calories that our body expends to carry out the most basic life-sustaining function. So they cover different aspects such as breathing, circulation, processing of nutrients, and every single moment we also have to produce cell, okay, for cell renewal and things like that. So this is how BMR comes into the picture, okay, and it covers all these things at rest, all right, when we are resting. So thyroid influences BMR directly. And if you have a thyroid problem, most likely you will also be reflected in your BMR. Now, it is so important that if your thyroid is working properly, it is able to maintain the right amount of hormones, okay, at a very specific balance. And once this is correct, it is also able to reflect that in your metabolism. It will work at the correct and at the right rate that will bring about the best health in an individual. So this reflects the precision of thyroid and how much it will affect our health, right? It's very important. So, due to the current, fast-paced living that we all have, it's very common for all of us to have some form of hormone imbalance. Okay, environmental factors is a very big cause of concern. And as of late, there's a lot of awareness in the pollution, in global warming, and all these things. And there are a lot of research about how all this environmental damage, okay, is when we ingest and we inhale it, they can potentially disrupt. And a report have actually showed that there are 59 different chemicals that is identified in an unborn child. So imagine for us who have already been living in this world for how many years, okay, and the potential accumulation of all these toxins. And not to mention diet, stress, improper sleep, all these things will cause some form of hormone imbalance. So as a result, thyroid imbalance is actually pretty common as well. So there are some people who have too low or too high. So neither both of these is ideal, and they have its respective consequences, okay, if it's really reflected in our body. So what are the common problems of thyroid issues? Okay, one of the major factor is weight. Okay, the very stubborn kind of weight. So of course, before we go into really diagnosing this problem as a thyroid issue, we have to ensure that we rule out all other lifestyle factors, such as diet. Okay, does this person really follow through correct portion, timing of eating type of food, and you have to also consider if the person has really exercised or not. So if a person has followed through all these steps and for a prolonged period of time, and no matter what they do, the weight still cannot go down. All right, if the person has reached this stage, then it's highly likely due to a form of hormonal issue. So thyroid has a lot to do with that. Okay, very stubborn kind of weight stagnant happening. Okay, so this will, you have very big challenge when it comes to weight loss. So thyroid hormones can also bring about some other undesirable health consequences, such as fatigue. Okay, doesn't matter how many hours you have slept, you can sleep 8 to 10 hours. Sometimes we even had a nap, but you still feel very, very tired. Okay, and some people can also feel down all the time. Okay, this could be due to an insufficient thyroid in our body, or in some cases, even anxiety as well. All right, and because thyroid is also very important in energy production, okay, production of ATP and muscle contraction. So if a person suddenly have very weak muscle, okay, and muscle soreness and things like that, could also be due to a manifestation of low thyroid. And interestingly, thyroid can also interfere with the cell growth cycle in our body, especially our skin. Okay, the cell renewal process can be delayed, okay, or sometimes it can even stop the natural production of sweat on our skin. So it leads to very itchy and dry skin, and in certain cases, eczema as well. Okay, and also it can lead to hair loss, okay, because it's involved in cell renewal, cell cycle. So there is some association there, and there are many studies that show about how, hair loss is also associated with a thyroid imbalance. Okay, last but not least, menses also. Okay, sex hormone is not the only hormone that will influence menses. Okay, in fact, a lot of other things, okay, cortisol and also thyroid hormone can impact and delay a person's menstrual cycle. So as you can see, actually, hormone plays a very important role, and it affects our body in ways that we don't realize sometimes. Okay, but sometimes once we go into the bottom of it, you'll be surprised to find how much your health has improved by just doing some minor adjustments to your hormones. So the number one issue, of course, I want to go back is weight issue. All right. And thyroid hormone, very commonly, once you have very low amounts, it will lead to very low BMR. So for those who have done the Tanita test, okay, some people, they have just exceptionally low BMR. It's lower than the average. So if you have very low BMR, it's highly likely it has some form of association with a low thyroid hormone. Okay, and when that happens, our body tends to store calories from food as fat. Why? Because our body needs to take a lot of energy. It has to expend a lot of energy to burn fat. Okay, fat has a much higher calorie component compared to carbs, which is a lot more readily burned as a source of energy. So this is the reason why our body will hold on to fat, and the fat percentage gets very stubborn, and it's very hard to reduce that as a result. So what's the solution? Which is the most important aspect that we are covering today. So there are two areas that we want to revisit. So the first is targeting the organs, all right, that's involved. And secondly, insulin, right? So let's go into detail. So toxins, okay, as I spoke at length just now, okay, it's a huge topic. Okay, right now there's a lot of studies into it. And toxins have very far-reaching effects in our body in ways that we don't realize. Okay, just so you know, first of all, toxins is bad. Okay, it's harmful, and the worst thing is that it tends to attach itself on cell surface. Okay, and it can attach to fat granules, it can attach to different parts of our body, it can impede the absorption, and can really stress the body. Okay, it can stick to, for example, if it's attached to fat globules, it can attach to our organs and things like that, causing a lot of problems. So, of course, it's always harmful, and it can also lead to cancer risk and things like that. Okay, so because these toxins can also attach to the surface of our gut, can also impede the absorption of minerals that is very important in the production of thyroid. Okay, more importantly, in the utilization of thyroid in our body. So studies found that you cannot just have thyroid, okay, you need other minerals, especially vitamin B, selenium, iodine, and all these components to help us to be able to absorb and utilize these hormones more efficiently. Okay, and so much so that now there are even studies that show, okay, that there is such a thing called a thyroid gut axis. Previously, we have spoke about the brain-gut connection, right? So now there are even studies finding an association between thyroid and gut. You know, people who have low thyroid has a lot to do with a compromised gut as well. So this is where, when we come to detoxification, okay, it has an influence, and it may be able to do some relief, okay, and some protection in this area. Okay, this is a very crucial and a very interesting part of study as well that will influence our thyroid absorption. Right, so of course, I need to stress this. It's very, very important. I want people to go home having the right expectation and the right kind of knowledge when it comes to supplements. So most importantly, we have to establish the fact that early intervention is very, very important. Okay, because when it comes to hormone-related problem, it's not very easy to identify. Okay, not like blood tests, which is very straightforward. Cholesterol is what, okay, sugar is what. A lot of the times, all this manifestation, right, has a cluster to do with hormones, and it's not easily identified. And by the time when you find out, right, it's harder to treat. Okay, so we have to make sure that we take action before the problem starts. Okay, it can even cause things like allergic reaction and things like that. So we do not want things to be so serious before taking action. Okay, so it's very important that we keep it well balanced all the time. Don't wait until problems start, okay, when it starts to come up with all kinds of unusual symptoms that we spoke about earlier, then only you go into treating it. And by the time when you want to do intervention, it may be too late, okay? So of course, when it comes to minor imbalances, which all of us will face at a certain point of time, okay, we all are not going to be at good optimal health all the time. There'll be times that our body is more stressed and things like that. So of course, when that is the reality, we have to ensure that we do some form of routine adjustment to keep it at the optimal level. Okay, so it can be used in minor situations, but we have to bring it up, okay, for individuals who have severe health issues, such as a compromised thyroid gland, okay, it's malfunction, your thyroid just cannot produce any thyroid, or it has some form of injury, or there are individuals on long-term medication use, okay, due to compromised thyroid, or you have severe inflammation. Okay, in serious cases, sometimes you even have to remove your thyroid because it's just too severely inflamed. So for those kind of health issues, of course, supplements will not be able to bring about the effect. So you may have to proceed to consult doctor's advice. Now, so going back into Clear Start, okay, let's see how does the product help us in this area. Okay, so number one, we have to eliminate. Okay, we have to eliminate harmful toxins and parasites that are the number one culprit when it comes to impeding our hormone balance. So we need, these are some very natural things, and they have very strong antimicrobial function, such as garlic, black walnut hull, sage, pumpkin seed, and we have a combination of 11 other herbs. Okay, once it's taken, it's able to really produce that kind of strong effect that we do not need to take in medications, okay? And sometimes you'll be surprised that all these natural components are also very strong in the area of killing off parasites and toxins. Okay, so it's a very good and effective way of removing that first layer of toxins from our body. Okay, secondly, we have to ensure that we expel and regulate our gut. All right, this is important because you have to ensure that it is routinely being removed and there's a good rhythm. All right, so senna leaf, buckthorn bark, peppermint, and 6 other herbs in synergy that will produce that kind of effect to really optimize our gut health and restore the rhythm of our gut movement. Okay, last but not least, we also have to ensure that we protect our gut. Because all these things are great, but some form of protection is highly recommended because it can be a little bit heavy on your gut. So, okay, to produce that kind of effect, okay, live fiber is unlike your usual fiber. It has 29 high quality herbs and plant sources. You know, outside may just have 1 or 2 kind of fiber. Okay, it has a custom insoluble and soluble blend. It adds bulk to stool, it softens your stool, and most importantly, it protects the colon. Right, so your colon will be smooth, okay, and is able to absorb minerals and vitamins a lot more effectively as well, and it can also provide relief in constipation issues. Okay, so this is a quick guide for anybody who is very new or is interested to start on with Clear Start. So, okay, of course, how to drink nature's tea, just ensure that you follow through with the timing, Thyroid Plus, and live fiber. So live fiber, you can drink it any time of the day, 1 to 2 times is also fine. All right, so thyroid hormone is one thing about production we've learned, okay, if we've really cleansed the gut, detox, okay, it can help to increase production and things like that. But you can have all the thyroid, but if it cannot be utilized, if it's not converted into a form that our body can absorb, it's practically useless. So conversion of thyroid hormones, okay, it is done most of the time outside of your thyroid hormone, which is in our liver and our kidney. So this is when the conversion goes on. So it's also important that we don't neglect these organs, okay? So these are other important detox organs, such as we mentioned just now. So native flagellant tea is excellent, okay? It's one of those traditional that we really utilize complementary medicine, okay? That has a very strong history in the Native Americans, okay? That this secret formula of sheep sorrel, milk thistle, and red clover, okay? That they can, in combination, really help to increase the detoxification process in our liver and kidney organs. And not to mention, of course, blood is very important, right? It carries oxygen, it gives us the nutrients that we need. So, chlorophyll powder does that, help us to clear and detoxify our blood, right? So we have learned extensively just now about how thyroid influences our health and how important cleansing is. So no doubt about that, which everybody is highly encouraged to do. However, cleansing is only a 30-day thing. Right? We know that we do not want to have good health only for such a short period of time, okay? And prolong after that 30 days, we will still be exposed to many different things that will then be introduced back into our body. So there are many factors that can still influence thyroid hormones, such as diet, lifestyle, stress, and other hormones. Okay, there are other hormones can also influence. So how can we achieve long-term thyroid balance? Okay, which is what everybody desires. Okay, so I have to talk about insulin. Okay, I know that we have mentioned a lot about it, but insulin is indeed a core hormone, right? Just so you know, it is a hormone, all right, that influences and it can interfere many other functions that is also happening simultaneously in our body. Okay, insulin, of course, it has its function, but when there is too much in our body, it basically stresses the body. It's like an alarm bell that will keep ringing in our body. Right? It triggers a whole cluster of inflammatory response, and this can produce two effects. Either it will trigger an overproduction. Some people, once they have high insulin level, they suddenly have a surge of other hormones, such as cortisol, and sometimes even your sex hormone. All right, it can in a very unbalanced way. And this is the reason why some people have what we call polycystic ovary, PCOS. Okay, in women, it interferes with their ovaries, and for men, okay, also for their testosterone levels as well. Okay, hair loss and things like that. And in certain cases, it can even suppress certain hormones that it deprives your body of some natural important hormones that also sustain good health. So insulin is a very important indicator to take into consideration. It's so much more than just sugar control or cholesterol and things like that, but it influences a cluster of many other responses in our body. Right, so this is where feel great comes to bridge a very important gap, right? And let's see how both of these can help us to manage the problem that we spoke about earlier. So sugar in food is the major culprit, right? But we cannot stop or not eat food at all, right? That's not realistic. So sugar in general slows down the conversion of thyroid to its active form. So when that happens, it is going to slow down our metabolism. All right, basically sugar will interfere with our thyroid activity in the body. So how can we manage or to cut this thing off? So this is where Basal S comes into the picture. All right, we have Spheres, Fiber, and Unicity 7X, which expands, 2 to 3 times more than the standard supplement, fiber supplement, is able to cushion and absorb more sugar. So once we cut down that sugar, okay, we are able to then increase and to bring that metabolism up and to further promote, okay, our basal metabolic rate. So we have covered the food part. So how about Unimate? Okay, what can directly ignite our metabolic fire? Okay, so there is chlorogenic acid. It's a very important component in yerba mate. So what does it do? Okay, it supports certain enzyme in the body that is involved in the metabolism of glucose. So once this enzyme is a lot more efficient, it can better utilize it, it can better process it as well. So you don't accumulate so much of this sugar in your body, and this can also help to reduce sugar and insulin responses as well. So on top of that, chlorogenic acid also has this capacity to increase the energy production in our cells, such as the mitochondria. Okay, it can help to increase and facilitate the production of ATP. So once all your individual cells have that energy, that is when it can then produce its metabolic effect. That is also, studies also found that it can help to increase fat burning capacity. So with that, it is able to ignite your metabolic furnace, right? So of course, you can take all of these in together. Some people, when they are doing Clear Start, they also take in Basal S and Unimate, okay, because they have to take care of their food, right? And they also want to be able to burn energy. But at that time, it's not recommended to do intermittent fasting. Okay, if you are doing Clear Start, we don't recommend that because it may be a bit heavy in your body. So once you're done with the cleansing and the detox, and you want to move into your normal eating pattern, you want to go to more sustained eating. So this is where intermittent fasting can be very helpful as well. So if you're going, doesn't matter, it could be a 4-4-12 or 16-8 eating pattern. If you do this in combination with Feel Great, it can really, really bring up your metabolic rate. Okay, so we'll talk this more into detail, and it has a lot to do with human growth hormone as well. So stay tuned to our December training. Okay, so well, I've come to almost the end of the session. All right, but of course, I want to bring about this new variant, which is Untitled Black. I'm sure many of you are aware that we have already just only released this in Singapore. Okay, it's a new limited edition flavor. Okay, that we've introduced specifically in this market. Okay, so let's look into how we can incorporate this into our daily life, okay, which is also alignment with our topic today. Okay, so what to expect? Apart from its beautiful packaging, very stylish, okay, what can we expect about its health benefit? Okay, so what's the difference in the yerba mate content? So it is the same, okay, with the other variants that we have, such as lemon ginger, lemon, and citrus mint. Okay, so don't worry that, if you're drinking this flavor, it's not, don't have this problem, it's the same. Then how about the ingredients? How will it affect us and what is different about it? So ingredients wise, there's a combination of yerba mate, coffee beans, and black tea. Right, so as you can see, 3 of these are rather strong flavor, and they are also, its effects is also strong in the body, right? So it has this kind of unique combination upon drinking it. So due to the strong ingredients, naturally, it will lead to a stronger tasting profile. So it's more on the higher side, all right? Okay, it has a stronger side, so it has a more bitter note to it. So the way you were to accept it is very similar to citrus mint. Okay, it's a quiet taste. The very first time you drink it, I'm sure many of you, find it a bit hard to accept in the beginning. Okay, just a combination of flavor needs a bit of time to accept, all right, because it's quite unique in a sense. But just like citrus mint, over time you drink it, you will start to enjoy the flavor. You start to appreciate the kind of uniqueness that comes with it, and it gets smoother over time. All right, if you drink and you experience the benefit, then you come to love it over time. All right, just like citrus mint. So there is a way to drink it, okay, because of the type of flavoring that we have, the flavor combination, that we have, there is a way to drink it. So the best way to drink it is always cold. All right, chilled, when you put water, you put ice is best, and when you drink it chilled, it reminds you a lot like really drinking coffee, okay? And room temperature is also fine, but I don't encourage to drink hot due to the strong taste of black tea and coffee. So the best way to enjoy it is cold and room temperature. Okay, and after a certain period of time, you will like it, yeah? Okay, so yeah, we have come to the conclusion of today's topic. So let's just wrap up what we have learned. So number 1, we learned that early intervention is key. Okay, and everybody should detox at least twice a year. Some people, they can even go up to 3 to 4 times, but minimum at least twice a year. And what we have learned today is that there are 2 main factors that influences our metabolism. So thyroid is one of them. Okay, and toxins throw our hormones out of balance. It also affects thyroid as well. So this is where detox is recommended. It keeps your body all in a rest, helps to maintain and regulate our thyroid hormone. And after that, long-term thyroid health, there are other things that can also interfere, which is insulin. So in order to keep that to a minimum and at a healthy level, we have Feel Great to help us bridge the gap. Right, so this is the end of my presentation today. So I hope you have learned a thing or two about thyroid, since it's a poorly understood topic. So I hope with today's presentation, you have learned, a little bit more about how it can influence our metabolism. Right? So we will, as always, we will have a time of Q&A. So you have any questions about thyroid or metabolism, okay, please feel free to just bring it up in the chat box. Okay, hi Anne, thank you for your questions. So overall, Feel Great will help you for one. Okay, Feel Great may not directly induce thyroid production, okay, but it has a role in controlling insulin, which has a direct role with thyroid hormones. Okay, so in order for us to have good thyroid hormones, we have to ensure that our insulin is always kept at a well-regulated level. So this is how it plays a role with our hormones health. Yeah. Okay, hi Dylan. Hard to lose weight, then detox before using food grade. Yes, yes. We will encourage you to take detox, okay, to just do your clear start first 30 days. And you can, in fact, you can also take food grade at that time, just that you don't do intermittent fasting. So once you do that for 1 month, okay, you can be taken off clear start, and then you can, proceed through with your daily eating, then continue on with your food grade and intermittent fasting. So I think that can really help to rest your body and can really just activate and ignite your metabolic rate. Okay, Sun An Puan has a very important question. Okay, when is Unimate Black coming to Malaysia? So, okay, Unimate will not be in Malaysia, okay, because it's a limited, it's a limited time offer. So at the moment, it will be in Singapore. All right. So, yep. Okay, that's about it. So make sure that we keep our thyroid in good condition because it directly impacts our metabolic rate. All right. So, okay, so this is the end of today's session. So make sure you join the next 2 weeks because Vinda will be teaching us about how sex hormones can then influence our, how sex hormones can influence our metabolism. And the following week, we'll be talking about human growth hormone. So be sure not to miss out on these 3 topics. Okay, so thank you very much for your time and I hope to see you soon. Okay, thank you. Bye. Good night.